Welcome back to my channel where we like to talk about books, movies, and TV shows and everything in between. Today, if you haven't guessed by the title, we are talking about Phase 3 of the MCU, or New Part 1. I learned the hard way that if you put all these movies together and do a recap, it's going to take over an hour long. So the last phase I had to split it up. Very sorry about that, but I'm going to continue with that and try and get it out as fast as possible before the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. Because as we know, that's a huge event that's coming up, and I cannot wait. Anyways, let's get on with it. What's in this phase of the MCU? Well, this is capping off the Infinity Saga, which is kind of what's going on right now with the stones, which you talked about, especially in Phase 2. We're introduced in Phase 1. And so here are some of the movies that we're going to be diving into. Actually, here are all the movies that we're going to be diving into. It's going to be a lot more than 6. So just to let you know. Movies that are included are Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. A whole slew of movies. And today we are only going to talk about Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So let's go ahead and jump in and start with Captain America Civil War. The whole gist of Captain America Civil War. What are we getting ourselves into? A continuation of Winter Soldier with Bucky as this Hydra experiment that is let loose and who is brainwashed and is trying to break out of that. He's being framed. He's being framed. There's a man called Helmut Zemo. He is a baron from Sokovia, which we remember that name, Sokovia. That's where Wanda and Pietro are from. And he was from a royal, rich family. He is impersonating or pretending to be Bucky, as he is like literally blowing up places and just wreaking havoc. Honestly, that's not too far-fetched because he's done some horrible things. He's done very horrible things, which we'll get into in Phase 4 and how he goes through all of that. He doesn't know how to come to terms with all the bad he's done, and Zemo's just making it worse. He is making it worse. We see the reverberations of that because of Bucky and personal things he's done to Tony's family, killing his parents. There's a civil war. People take sides. There is Team Iron Man and Team Cap. With these two separated, the schism in the Avengers, there is also the thought process of whether or not they want to pass the Sokovia Accords, which gives the UN the power to control the Avengers. So basically, they are more of a public entity than a private entity. Steve doesn't see that as a good thing. He doesn't want to be controlled by someone. He wants to, freelance. He wants to work freelance. But Tony's like, no, it's a good idea. We should do that. It turns out not to be a good idea in the long run. We'll get more into that. There's a lot happens in between the huge fight that happens at the airport with the introduction of Black Panther, or T'Challa, who becomes the king because the UN is being bombed while they're trying to pass the Sokovia Accords. And T'Challa's father, is there, and he gets killed in the line of fire. So T'Challa takes up the mantle, and we learn that he has the Black Panther suit, and he takes Tony Stark's side. So people take sides. It's a whole mess. They're trying to get Bucky. Well, Tony's trying to get Bucky. Steve and Bucky are needing to get to Zemo to stop him. Steve and Bucky want to get to Zemo as fast as possible because they find out that Zemo basically got rid of these super soldiers. He doesn't like the super soldier program, trying to get rid of all of that. And clearly Zemo is upset. He doesn't like the Avengers, and he was trying to divide them, which he did a good job in doing as well. His family was killed in the whole war that happened with Ultron, and so he is like, I want to take revenge, and tries to divide them. Does successfully, because when Steve and Bucky reach Zemo, Zemo's like, yeah, Bucky, you totally killed Tony Stark's parents, and Tony sees that, and he's so mad. There's a whole fight between three of them. It's in a draw. Zemo is like super sad. He's like, yeah, I did that. Tries to kill himself, but T'Challa's there, and he takes him to the authorities. So the rest of Team Cap's team goes to jail at the raft, which we'll see more of later on. And because Natasha helped Steve and Bucky escape, she's like, alright, I'm not gonna go to jail, so I'm just gonna peace out, which we see where she goes later on in Phase 4. But the gist of this is to create the rift between the Avengers because of what's gonna happen later on down the road with the next Avengers movies, because that's going to be a lot for us to break down and take in. Yeah, what do we need to take into consideration? Everyone going their separate ways. Bucky is being taken care of by Wakanda and getting help with his psychiatric just mess that went on with his brainwashing. We're good with that. Bucky's being taken care of, which is great. And we also get to see a little bit of Wakanda, just a little tiny bit. We'll see more in a few movies' time, of course. And then we get a little glimpse of Peter Parker, which we do see because Sony finally was like, all right, we'll let you have Peter Parker, we'll let you have Spider-Man, which is crazy. So Spider-Man's now in the MCU. And then also Steve and Natasha, they went into hiding. And Steve may be breaking out his friends from jail. That's it for Captain America Civil War. The next movie we're going to be talking about is Doctor Strange. Now this probably has to be one of my all-time favorite MCU movies. It's so good, so fun, so fresh, so funky, all that jazz. So this is an origin movie. Doctor Strange, his name is Stephen Strange. He is a fantastic surgeon with like magical hands, basically. And then he actually does get magical hands later on. But he due to a car accident where he was texting and driving. Guys, this is a warning, do not text and drive. He gets into a crash and his hands are messed up. And ironically, the only person who could have fixed him is him, because he was so good at what he did. So there's a lot of tension in his life. His old flame, Christine Palmer, who's also a doctor, is just feels for him and how horrible he's been in, like, just this horrible situation. But she's like, I don't know how I can help you, dude. But there is a mention of a paraplegic man who got his extremities working again. He's literally, Steven finds him playing basketball and he's like, how can this be? There's literally like, this is impossible for you to be working so well right now after an accident that you had where you were like completely paralyzed. And he's like, go to this place. So he goes to that place. So he meets the Ancient One, who is a powerful sorcerer, tells him all about, the different fields, the metaphysical realm, spiritual realm, all this stuff. There's so many different things to learn. And he's a skeptic, but he's like, okay, teach me. Under the teaching, he learns very fast. He becomes very powerful, but he's still frustrated with his use of hands, and he is put into different situations where he has to learn to go past the little details and just basically open up your mind's eye. That's essentially the outlook he needs to learn. And he meets a lot of people along the way. Of course, the Ancient One, Mordo. I think it's Mordo. Wong. And then, of course, we get the villain of the piece that we meet in the beginning, Caecilius. He turned rogue. He's like, I want all the dark magic. We don't like that. That's not cool. Whatever. But he's played by Mads Mikkelsen, and we love Mads Mikkelsen. He's a fantastic actor. So with this whole Caecilius debacle, there are things along the way. The Ancient One dies because of Caecilius. Strange becomes the new wearer of the Eye of Agamotto. Eye of Agamotto, which holds one of the Infinity Stones, the Time one, I believe. It's green. It's pretty fun. So Caecilius basically wanted to contact Dormammu. Yes, so many names. Dormammu, who's this really ancient, horrible being, and wanted to basically engulf everything in the dark dimension. And Caecilius is like, yeah, we love dark magic. But actually, Strange is like, loophole. I'm coming at you with a new idea, Dormammu. After putting Dormammu in an endless time loop, because Strange has the Time Stone, he makes a deal with Dormammu by taking Caecilius and his followers instead of engulfing Earth into a huge dark dimension. So he's like, okay, cool. That's how Caecilius gets defeated, is Dormammu takes him. Not without casualties, of course. Our London sanctum is kind of destroyed because there's sanctums all over the Earth that protect the Earth. The sorcerers protect Earth, and so they have their different sanctums. So the London one is destroyed, but Steven's like, New York, you're mine. And he picks up his lucky cloak along the way, which is magical in itself. And he becomes a protector of Earth, which is so fun, and we love to see it. But basically, we get a little taste of what a sorcerer can do. Yeah, so that's the whole gist of what's going on in Doctor Strange. We do get a little taste of Doctor Strange and Thor together in a credit scene, which is fun. But that is Doctor Strange. Let's move on to the next movie. Okay, next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Continuing on from the first one, I believe it's like almost right after or just a little bit after the first one. The Guardians are known. They're a huge hit amongst the galaxy. They do a favor for a pretty powerful woman, and she's leader of a very established race of people in the galaxy. But Rocket, him and his antics of wanting to steal stuff. He double crosses them, steals the batteries that they were trying to protect for them, and they have to leave immediately and find a safe place to be. After some help outrunning these very powerful beings, they crash on a planet, and the people who helped them, turns out it's Peter Quill's dad, Ego. Ego, we learn, is a celestial, but we do get more celestials in the next phase, which is so much fun, and we get a hint that that is going to be a huge thing to look out for in future movies, because celestials are they're powerful beings, very powerful, and you'll see why. Here's Ego, Peter Quill's dad, and Ego has a friend with him, and she is just this interesting alien who can interpret emotions and enforce emotions onto people. She's super powerful kind of thing, but with emotions. We find out later she knows a lot of stuff about Ego, and there's a lot of bad stuff going on with him, like a lot of bad stuff. So basically, he's been trying to find kids, or he's been trying to make children who would be the perfect host, or maybe host isn't the right word. Maybe it's like a power source to activate these seedlings that he left on different planets to consume them. He's a planet consumer, like a bunch of celestials are. That's what they eat planets for a living. So that is Ego's plan, which is, we'd rather not have someone eat a planet, but we learn that he is literally the planet that they are on. Like, the planet that, not that the planet that they crash land on, but the planet they go to. It's Ego. He is a planet. He makes that planet. So many of his children that he's had has failed at that, like failed at being that kind of like that amplifier in a way, that there's a part where Nebula and Gamora, because they're fighting, Nebula finds Gamora and there's a whole sister moment. It's very good though. They work out their issues, but they're fighting and they stumble in on dead bodies, skulls, stuff like that. That's nasty. And amongst the other things that we learn about Ego, we also learn that he intentionally gave Peter Quill's mother a tumor to kill her. Yeah, he's the worst of the worst. That really kind of pisses Peter off, and for good reason, because that's the sickest thing ever. He begins to fight back, but not without help from Yondu. Yondu finally escapes the mutiny from his ravagers. A few stay loyal, but they end up dying. But yeah, so Yondu is like held in captive, so with Rocket and Groot, but they escape from there, and they are trying to save Peter, because Yondu's like, there's a reason why he kept this kid from his dad. Yondu originally, the reason why he took Peter from Earth is because Ego paid him to do that. So he was like, I don't want to do that to this kid. He's been super good to me for years. I mean, except for last movie when he betrayed him. But other than that, he's been a good kid, you know? Yondu cares for him. And they end up, in the end, blowing up the Ego planet, killing him. Good, great for them. But also, unfortunately, we do get Yondu's death. And it's so sad, but we do get a very tender moment between Peter and Yondu. Yondu was saying that he was more of a father than his father ever was. You don't have to think of him as your father, because I'm your father. Very tender moment, so sweet. We get a little bit of, we have those father-son tensions, like I said, that are flagrant through the MCU, but we do get a good tender moment between a found family, which is great. So that's really the end of Guardians 2. We do still get Gamora wanting to kill Thanos, and definitely Nebula does too, which is good. We love that. But yeah, it's you'll see later. You'll see in the next few videos I'll talk about it. Just some craziness happens with Thanos. Anyways, so that's really the gist of it. More character growth with our main players in the Guardians films. We unfortunately lose Yondu. So yeah, we do get a little sneak peek though of, remember the lady who's in charge of all those really important beings? They were all spray painted gold. But they're just very, powerful race of people. They are creating a being, and his name is Adam. So that should be exciting. Hopefully we'll see more of him in the next Guardians. I believe they finished filming recently, so we will see. But yeah, that is the end of our first part of the MCU Phase 3 Part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a little bit, remembered what was going on in these movies. Like always, if you want more in-depth conversations about certain things in the movies, or maybe just an in-depth conversation about one of these movies, let me know. I'd love to do that. If you like this video, please push the like button. That'd be great. Subscribe if you want more and want to know when the next video is coming out. Yeah, I think that's it. I will see you guys with the next part, where we will dive in a little bit more with maybe Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther. Who knows? But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. Bye!